I believe I recently come to the realization that this summer for me has been a very good summer. And actually, as I think about it a little more, this has been a good year. And I'm not talking about like life at large because life been beating me, but my sex life has been lit. Like the sex I've been having this year has been amazing. And I would go as far as to say that it's the best sex I've had so far. And I think it's because the more and more I learn about myself within the kink space through working with different people, by being a sex coach, and then even with me teaching people, I learn in the moment of teaching. So that's like a super dope kind of dynamic about my work. I damn near have to practice what I preach. So the same shit that I talk to y'all about on the show in terms of mindset shifting and being open-minded and going after it and exploring it. Guess what the fuck I'm out here doing in real life? The same shit I'm telling y'all to do. And this shit is lit. Like, this shit is exciting. I've done a lot that I've actually wanted to do when it comes to sex. Still ain't had my orgy, not yet. But I'm real hopeful. I'm hopeful that before the year ends, I can pull that off. We'll see. Maybe it'll be for my birthday. But I bring that up because, of course, part of the reason that I'm so passionate about talking about sex is because a lot of people are out here having bad sex. I used to be a person who used to have bad sex. That's not to say that I haven't had bad sex within like the last couple years. Actually, I haven't had sex in the past couple years. I've had like mediocre sex. It wasn't bad. It was just mediocre. But I've had like really amazing sex within the last, like this year in particular, but within the last year. And I love that for me. I love that for me because it just, I know that I haven't reached the peak of my sexual potential yet. I know that there's still more out there. And that within itself is super inspiring, at least for me. It's your freak hostess, Jody, and you're tuned into Provocative.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
I will marry a nigga off some dick because everything else we can work on. And I have sporadic periods of excessive masturbation. I really like how that just sounded. If I fuck you once and it's good, I'm gonna keep fucking you. Because I didn't start sucking dick until college.
Blew in that man's butthole. That shit is wicked. That shit is...
But what I want to talk about today is that with there being so many people out there having bad sex and they're not advocating for themselves, or even if they do advocate for themselves, I think there's like something interesting going on when it comes to the sexual conversation, because on the one hand, you have people that advocate, that attempt to advocate for themselves, and then their partners may judge them. And then you have people that don't advocate for themselves in fear of said judgment. So in both cases, there's some shame and some judgment around the sexual expression and sexual choices that people make. But then also you have people out here that are like super loud and super boring. Like so boring and vanilla. And I think that's interesting as well. Maybe it's because, I don't know, people just think that what they bring to the bedroom is, top notch. And I don't know, like when I hear about what people got going on, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like boring to me. Be trying not to judge motherfuckers too much and not shame them too much, but y'all ass is not really out here fucking for real. Not to slut shame y'all, but y'all really could be sluttier. Actually, I am gonna shame y'all. I'm gonna shame y'all because y'all really need to do better. Do better. Be sluttier. Be freakier. It's so many vanilla people out here. And you could be a freaky vanilla person, but don't make it seem like you just over into some shit that other people not into when it's like, nah, what you doing is pretty normal. What you doing is pretty normal. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today. This is someone that has known me for, I would say, over 10 years. And so this particular person calls me and says like, yo, I just really started paying attention to the stuff you post and I didn't know you was like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like that. And it kind of went into a conversation around like, what came up in the conversation, because we were on the phone for a while, but part of what came up in the conversation was him saying like, oh, he be trying to try certain things with, this particular chick, and she be like, throwing in his face like, oh, either like basically shaming him for wanting to try certain stuff or whatever. And but then like he turned around and said like, oh, I want to find somebody like that, but I'm gonna be thinking like, oh, how many niggas you did this with, or how many, like how many dicks you did basically. And I'm like, yeah, you ain't got the right mindset. So I'm bringing this up because, of course, a lot of people that listen to this show, they have shifted their mindset. But I do think it's important to remind people that if you want to have the best sex of your life, you cannot have these blocks, these limiting beliefs around that same thing that you're trying to explore. Like, if you shame other people, guess what people gonna do to you? They gonna shame you. You have to find people that are open-minded, and you also have to bring that open-minded sexual energy to whatever sexual experiences you have, right? People that oftentimes feel like their partner is going to judge them are less likely to open up, be super freaky, be super experimental. It don't matter what you say. If you've shown an ounce of judgment, whether it be posting something on social media that says, oh, motherfuckers that do shit like this is weird. I'll give you an example. This is a while ago when I saw this, but there was like this post, like somebody reshared a post along the lines of running red lights. Now, I've had period sex. It's not that big of a deal, guys. I don't have period sex with everybody, but I've had period sex with two guys that I actually care a lot about, right? And the reason I don't engage in period sex with just like, all right, cool, with whoever, is because there's a blood tie there. I believe in blood magic. So I'm not going to engage in that and then be tied to someone in a way, or tethered to someone in a way that I don't want to be tethered to them. So I've only had period sex with two guys. I don't see myself having period sex with anyone beyond the two people that I already had period sex with. But I don't judge people for having period sex either. Like, I don't give a fuck what you do as long as you're practicing safe sex and you are consenting and it's healthy and whatnot, right? But I see this post and it's along the lines of like, damn, y'all that damn horny that y'all can't wait 6-7 days to have sex, whatever. And I'm like, man, first of all, real quick tidbit on period sex. First of all, it's good to have sex on your period. And the reason being is that it actually alleviates cramps. Now, it's other reasons behind why it's okay to have period sex, but it really does alleviate cramps. So the orgasms that you have while on your period, you can literally ease the cramps that you're having if you have severe cramps. I get real bad cramps. And even if I take medicine, the shit still be real bad. So sometimes I masturbate. Like, I'll masturbate while I'm on my period just so that I can have an orgasm, just so that the cramps go away. But again, I don't shame other people for engaging in whatever type of sexual activity that they do, for whatever reason that they do it. Also, sometimes I be horny on my period. Like, people get horny on their periods. It's not like, oh, I'm on my period and now like sex doesn't exist anymore. Like, I'm a very sexual person and I like to, I like having orgasms. So yeah, like very much someone that wants to have an orgasm, whether it be actual sex or masturbation. But back to the story. So this girl or whatever, she posted, she was like, oh, I can't believe y'all this nasty and y'all doing this, whatever. And when I see posts like that, it's just in my heart of hearts, I know that people like that have like very kind of sex. Anybody that's online shaming sexual activities because they don't engage in it, I feel like you probably have pretty trash sex. And you probably not really doing anything. And also, these be the same people that I see them kind of shaming. Like it don't just be one thing. It be like multiple things or whatever. But that's how I feel about it. Like, it might not be true, but that's the energy you give off. Like, you give off like boring bitch energy. And so yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I've said this multiple times before. You should mind your own coochie and what you got going on, but shaming other people for yucking other people's yum is crazy to me. But yeah, like a lot of people do be, again, vanilla, not freaky. They just because you have sex don't make you freaky. That's what I'm getting at. Just because you engage in sexual acts does not make you freaky. A lot of y'all are not freaky at all. And a lot of y'all might be a little freaky, but you still vanilla freaky. Like, y'all not. And maybe not even the people that's listening to this. Like, some of y'all is very much vanilla, but that's why y'all listening to this, because y'all trying to like change that. But it's a lot of people in the world. So when I'm saying y'all, I'm not necessarily talking about the people listening to this, but your friends, your neighbors, like, they are not really into the shit. And it's cool if they not into it, but it's not cool if they shaming you or shaming other people for being into something that they want to enjoy. But what do be interesting is that because I post content around, sexual exploration, it be a lot of these vanilla people that kind of like come and say like, oh, well, I want to attend a party, or I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm like, you don't really have the right mindset for it, because being this way starts with a mindset shift. Like, you really have to find yourself and who you want to be within this space, and then liberating yourself in a way that you don't allow those preconceived notions to kind of limit you from exploring what you want to explore within this space as well. So this same person was like, oh, I want to come to a party. And I told him, I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe you're not ready yet. That's because you have to have an open mind. And I think he is more open to like, at least, learning a little more before he kind of like attends a party. But also I think it's the allure or the fascination with the fact that there are parties out here where people come together and are sexually free. And in the real kind of like everyday world, a lot of us are not sexually free. So it's almost like we are fetishizing that world in a way. And it shouldn't be that either. Kinky people, lifestyle people aren't your experiment. We're still people. I was literally telling someone, and I say this all the time, I don't want to be anybody's first like overly freaky, overly nasty partner. That doesn't feel good to me. Like, I'm cool with you saying like, oh, okay, we curious about these things. Like, we're almost on the same page. Like, I could be a step or two above somebody, but I can't be like way up here and then somebody is like so inexperienced to where it's like I kind of have to like teach them everything. I don't want to do that. That's not a responsibility that I want from someone that I'm interested in, because that's gonna get boring to me. That's gonna get really boring to me, actually. I'm a coach. I'm a sex coach, right? That doesn't mean that I want to coach all of the time. I am a switch. I don't want to dominate all the time. I want to be submissive, but in order for me to be submissive, I have to trust the person. And if you are inexperienced, I will not trust you. That's really what it boils down to. And so I would say if you are someone that is, that if that resonates with you, if you're someone that is looking to explore more and don't know how to kind of get started, or you and your partner, or you and someone that you're interested in might not be all the way compatible, really evaluate and think about how you want to move forward with that person in that light. But yeah, it's a tough kind of space to be in when it seems like people are moving towards all of this liberation, but then there are so many people that are still stagnant. Of course, there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of the work of educating people, right? The education around different relationship types and what all falls under which umbrella. Like, are you ethically non-monogamous, or are you, part of the lifestyle, or are you part of BDSM? Like, it's so many different layers to, like when people use the term lifestyle, they just mean what anything that is anti-traditional monogamy. Everything else kind of like falls under lifestyle, right? So if you're new to provocative, I will give you just a quick kind of overview, right? So you have the lifestyle, right? That's where under the lifestyle you have swingers that might engage in like couple swapping and stuff like that. Full swaps or semi swaps. That just means that like there's literally the husbands swap wives, right? Those are swingers. You might have people that are in open poly situations where they have partners where they are very honest and open. That's the thing too. When you ethically non-monogamous, the term ethical just means that you're honest and you tell the truth. So you are not basically ripping someone of their consent to participate in whatever it is that you have going on by being honest and forthcoming, right? So the lifestyle, again, there are multiple things that fall under that. Under the lifestyle, you have ethical non-monogamy. Under ethical non-monogamy, you have like poly, or and even poly within itself, there are multiple definitions for that. You could be poly open, you could be poly closed. The difference between poly open and poly closed is that when you poly closed, you and your partner agree to engage with activities with certain people, and it's like a limited amount. So like, for example, if you are in a poly closed situation, you and your partner might decide like, all right, cool, outside of you, my secondary partner, like you and your partner are each other's primary partners, and you might say like, all right, cool, this is my secondary partner, and we both approve of this secondary partner. And the other partner, both partners might have a secondary partner. So it's like 4 people technically in this situation, but they don't have to, the secondary partners don't have to interact. Like they don't have to like have sex and a bunch of threesomes or anything like that. You guys just discuss your boundaries and figure out what that looks like. And then you got poly open. You could be solo poly. Like if you're a single, like if you're on your own, you're not in a 2-person relationship, you have multiple partners, like you're solo but you're practicing poly with like different people. So that might look like as a solo poly person, it might look like, all right, you have someone that you see once a week, and then you have someone that you see once a month, or you might have someone else that stays across the country, so you see them once a year. These When we talk about poly, I think it's super important to stress, and I know I've said this in the past, being poly does not mean you have sex with everyone. It just means that you have relationships that you care about with these people, right? So you might engage in certain things with certain people. Like one person you might like always go out on dates with, and y'all super intimate, but y'all don't have sex because that's not what you need from that particular partner. Versus somebody else where it's like, look, we don't go out on dates, but we fuck all the time. So this is what I'm here to do. So when you are in these different poly dynamics, it's important to discuss the basis of what y'all have going on and understanding each other's boundaries, what is comfortable. And again, depending on the level of poly that you are, you might have to do this with like 1 to 100 people. That just depends on what you're engaging in. Then, of course, you got polyandry, which is the woman who has multiple male partners. You have polygamy, which is the man who has multiple wives. And then so polygamy versus polyamory versus polyandry versus polyclosed, polyopen. Polyfidelity is like a tribe kind of situation where it's like a little community of like, you know, a couple people, like a group of friends. They're in like a vortex or like a little small cult. And they just like, they understand that we engage in activities with everyone that is in this small circle. So it's levels to the poly shit. And that's why sometimes I get triggered online and not even really triggered, but I get kind of like, I get the ick. I get disgusted with people that think they know about poly and they don't, because they haven't educated themselves. But that's that. There are so many different types of relationship models, and then there are also so many different types of sexual activities that you can engage in outside of, again, what is normal, right? So you have traditional monogamy, and then you have, you know, regular vanilla sex. Both of those are kind of like hand in hand, right? I just scissored my fingers. So those are kind of like hand in hand, right? And then you have lifestyle, and then you have like the kinky people, the BDSM people, the doms, the subs, the people that like pet play. But yes, in a world where there are so many different options, I think it's important to educate yourself on the different options that you have, and honestly just pick the shit that works for you and not shame other people for picking the shit that works for them. That's really what it comes down to. I feel like life too short to be unhappily vanilla. Like, some of y'all is vanilla not even by choice, but because people shamed y'all into being vanilla. Like, y'all don't even be like liking to spit in each other's mouth. Like, that's not even like that. I remember I used to be like, no, spit. But then the first time I experienced it, I was like, oh, it's kinky. Like, this freaky. Like, that's some freaky shit. I feel like because it's not too much that I wouldn't do, I feel like I've unlocked so much pleasure potential because I've given myself permission to explore that. So I hope that you guys take away this idea that you don't have to let people shame you into not exploring something. But also, if you want to explore something, you got to extend that same grace to other people and kind of let them be experimental as well. Like, you can't say, oh, I want to explore this thing sexually, and then you found somebody that's willing to explore it sexually with you, and then now you over here like, oh, this motherfucker do dicks, or how many people you did this with, whatever. It's like, you are worried about the wrong fucking thing. Like, you are worried about the wrong thing. You found somebody that you vibing with and they are willing to explore this thing with you, and you worried about who the fuck else they might have, like, you worried about their past, which ain't got shit to do with you. This was before they met you. You should only be worried about what the fuck you got going on with that person. Unless that history with someone is super, super, super key to what y'all got going on. For example, if that history is not history, that history might trickle into the present. So if that history trickles into the present, not you thinking about their history as part of the present, which is totally different, right? It might be a situation where they're currently dealing with somebody in the present. Then, all right, cool. We talked about transparency, especially with these unconventional relationship models. It's important to have that honesty and transparency. But if that's not even the dynamic that you have set up with that person, then it really don't fucking matter. Like, you really just worried about the wrong shit. And you allowing yourself to kind of like block what you could potentially get out of that situation with that person in terms of the pleasure, in terms of the amazing experience that you can have with that person. So I think I'm gonna end it there, because this is just an episode as a friendly reminder that you guys have to, again, really do some soul searching and figure out how you want to express yourself in a way that is liberating and not limiting. And yeah, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate the show. If you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram. Please don't find me on Facebook. Please don't. I'm not going to add you back. But if you follow me on Instagram and you shoot me a DM with a question, I'll gladly respond there. And that's all I got. I'll see y'all later. Before you go, I want to remind you to embrace your inner hoe. Thank you for tuning into Provocative, and don't forget to follow us on all streaming platforms. Happy hoeing. PRHOEVOCATIVE. Spell with the word hoe, because deep down, we all got some hoe in us. And this is your safe space to be unapologetically provocative. Oh, is my growl too masculine?
Put the nigga in missionary. Yeah. What the